have to take just a second to say this is episode 100. I can't quite believe we've reached this milestone together. Whether you've been with me since episode 1 or this is your very first time tuning in, thank you for letting me into your homes, into your cars, your hearts. Your support and your messages are what keep this show going, and I am so deeply grateful for this community. And because this is our 100th episode, I wanted to have a heart-to-heart that I think is long overdue. I opened my inbox this week and I saw a theme that I know so many of you are carrying. 2 messages really stood out. Sister U wrote, "I wish I had the setup and the patience to homeschool." Sister S wrote, "I wish I was better at it. I'm forever doubting myself." Do you hear that word? Wish. It's a heavy word, isn't it? It implies that there is a them and an us. That some women are just born with this homeschooling gene and the rest of us are just winging it. Today, we're going to dismantle that. We're going to talk about where that doubt comes from and how to widen your vision. So let's start with a hard question. Why don't we trust ourselves? Look, most of us were raised in conventional schooling. We were trained from the age of 4 or 5 to look for external validation. We need the teacher's tick, the gold star, that high grade to tell us that we are good enough. And when we start homeschooling, suddenly we don't have that. We don't have the headmaster. We don't have the grading system. We don't have a boss telling us that we're doing a good job. And we start to panic. We start looking at Instagram. We start looking at our friends, at our homeschool co-ops, trying to find a quote-unquote grade for our motherhood. So many of us are looking outside of our own selves for external validation. But you know, and I know, that doesn't exist in the home ed world. But let's look at those questions again. This idea of wishing for something that's not there yet. Do you say, "Oh, I wish I could have that setup. I wish I could have that skill. I wish I could homeschool my children"? I want to challenge you gently. What are you actually doing to make that wish happen? The great Imam al-Ghazali once spoke about the difference between just wishing for something and having what he called praiseworthy hope. He taught us that expecting a harvest without ever planting a seed isn't hope, it's delusion. He explained that true hope just isn't a daydream. It's an expectation that you will back it up with action. If you want results but you aren't putting in the effort, that's not hope, that is wishful thinking. True hope, the kind that invites barakah, is when you do your part. We tie our camel. If you have in the past said, "I wish I could homeschool my children, but X, Y, and Z," what are you doing to make that happen? What are you doing to take away those things that are stopping you? What are you doing to learn more about home education? If you're saying, I wish I could be more patient, what are you doing to become more patient? When you start home education, you are not already the finished product. You are also a mother in the making. Just as your children are learning and growing every day, so are you. And I don't say this to point the finger or judge anybody, because I know that there are situations that really are out of our control. But if there is something that your heart is calling you towards, that you feel is the right thing for your family, if there is something you can do to make that reality, I gently and with love challenge you today to take those steps to make it happen. And if you're already homeschooling, but you're struggling, remember this: you are a work in progress, and that is okay. The main thing is that you show up every day for your children. And you're actively trying to improve your knowledge, improve your skill set, improve your character, whatever it might be, but you are trying to get better. Look, none of us started with a dream schoolroom, with those beautiful wooden manipulatives, maps, alphabet posters on the wall. For me, my setup at the beginning was a kitchen table and a library card. And at the end of the day, it's not about the room. It's about the rhythm. That is the setup. Are you opening the books today? Are you taking that trip to the park? Are you sitting with them while they work on that activity? Are you there for them? Are you looking them in the eye when they explain to you what they drew? That is the setup. The real setup is being mentally present in the room. It is the intentional choice to say, right now, this child is my priority. When you choose to be present, well, that is the real setup. That is the setup that you should be concerned about, not what you see online with beautiful books and beautiful posters, which are all wonderful and something to aspire to, but the real setup is being there with your children, present. And why is that so important? Why is that the real homeschool setup? Because then that connection you have with your child becomes the classroom. The connection is the classroom. And now let's talk about what was mentioned in one of those messages, patience. Let's talk about this infinite well of patience that people imagine you need to have. Let me let you in on a secret. It doesn't exist. We are all human. We are all women. Sometimes our hormones shift. Sometimes our sleep is interrupted. And our capacity day to day varies. Some days you're that Zen mum. You know, the milk spills and you just laugh it off and say, come on guys, let's grab a towel. And other days, the pencil lead snaps off in the sharpener for the 5th time that morning and you feel you might actually lose your mind. That doesn't mean you aren't good at homeschooling. It means you're alive. It means you're a human being. And how do we get through those difficult days? Well, first it starts by focusing on being grateful for the good days, every small win. And on the harder days, you've got to look for the lesson. Why did it not work out this time? Was I too busy? Did we skip breakfast? We learn from those days. We learn from those moments and we do not dwell on them. We definitely don't despair. Thoughts like, oh, I can't do this. I'm not good enough. I'm not meant to be a homeschooler. Despair is from Shaitan. He wants you to linger on that bad mum feeling, so you give up. Do not give him the satisfaction. There is a beautiful Hadith Qudsi where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, I am as my servant thinks of me. I am as my servant thinks of me. If you believe Allah is only there to catch your mistakes and punish your shortcomings, then that is the relationship you will feel. But if you believe that He is Ar-Rahman, the most merciful, who sees your effort, who knows you're trying, and who is ready to forgive your bad mornings, then that is what you will find. Don't have a bad opinion of Allah by thinking that He won't help you succeed on this journey. He gave you those children. He is not going to abandon you in the trenches of homeschooling. We'll be right back to talk about why you need to widen your vision. But first, I want to address that nagging feeling that we are dropping the ball on certain subjects. You know, we can't be experts on every single thing. And if you've been worrying that geography is falling through the cracks, then this week's sponsor can help you to lift that weight off your shoulders. Take a listen. As homeschooling mums, we're always looking for that quote-unquote holy grail, something that is academically rich but requires zero prep from us. For our family, that has been the Future Explorers Club. We use this as our primary geography curriculum, though you don't have to be a homeschooler to love it. Here's the magic. Every month, a letter arrives in the post addressed specifically to your child. If your house is anything like mine, the excitement when they see their name on a real envelope is unmatched. It's always a total surprise which country the letter will be from. One month it might be from Oman, the next it's from the Swiss Alps or from Tasmania. As a Charlotte Mason educator, I really appreciate that these letters aren't dry or fact-heavy. They are living letters, they are sensory, they are story-led, and they're beautifully illustrated. They invite your child to imagine the smells and the traditions and the daily lives of families across the globe. And the best part for me, one envelope gives us an entire month of geography lessons. Between the story and the maps and the traditional recipes that we cook together, there are also craft activities And all that planning is done for me. It's gentle, it's meaningful, and it gets everyone off their screens and around the kitchen table. It is the definition of open and go education that actually has a soul. If you want to bring that spark of discovery to your letterbox and give yourself a break from lesson planning, I have a special offer for you. You can get £5 off any 3, 6 or 12-month subscription. And it's also a great way to support the Raising Mums podcast while gifting your child a world of wonder. So click the link in my show notes, visit ourmuslimhomeschool.com/explorers and use the code RAISINGMUMS5 at checkout to get your £5 off. Trust me, when that letter hits the doormat, you'll be just as excited as they are. Welcome back. I want to leave you with something that my teacher's teacher would often repeat to her. She would tell her, widen your vision. When we doubt ourselves, we are often thinking too small. We're thinking about today's math test or today's messy kitchen. But you know, the most pious and practicing women I have ever met, they think big. They don't limit themselves because they know to limit themselves would be to limit Allah, what Allah can do through them. You aren't just teaching ABCs. You are raising the next generation of this ummah. And when you feel like you can't do it, remember, it is not by your ability that you succeed. It is entirely from Allah. Be sincere. Ask Him to open the way. Do your best. Like, honestly, you can't do more than that. And then trust that Allah will cover the rest. He will fill in the gaps in your teaching. He will heal and mend connections that felt frayed in those harder moments. And when the self-doubt gets loud, I want you to try these things. First of all, try writing it down. Try writing down those doubts, like, I'm a terrible teacher. I'm a terrible mum. Whatever it might be. Now look at what you've written. Is it true? Or did you just have a rough morning? Sometimes seeing it on paper exposes how illogical our inner critic can be. The next thing I advise is call a friend, call a sister who will remind you of your strengths and lift you up. Not that one who just lists all their achievements, but someone who can be really there with you and hold you through that difficult time. And finally, I want you to think about curating your space. Listen to uplifting podcasts like this one or YouTube channels that you find helpful on those days that you are feeling a bit low. Try to find content that focuses on the why, not just the how. Why you are homeschooling, why you have chosen this journey. Because honestly, when you are doubting yourself, that is the sort of thing that your heart needs to hear. Look, you don't need a certificate to home educate your children. You do not need permission. You and your husband have the God-given right and responsibility to raise your children the way you believe is best. Trust the mother you are becoming because you trust in Allah's wisdom, the one who chose you specifically for those children. And He doesn't make mistakes. Thank you for listening today, and thank you to the Future Explorers Club for sponsoring today's episode. Sister, go easy on yourself today. You were chosen for your children for a reason. Until next time, As-salamu alaykum.